Counts as bungalow witchcraft.
Oh, Posh, we were dancing in the woods last night, and my uncle leaped on us. She took Friday's off.
Dancing in the moonlight. Be clapped in the stocks for your 20.
Give me a word, John. A soft word.
No, Abby, I've not come for that.
You come 5 miles to see a silly girl fly? I know you better.
Come to see what mischief your uncle be brewing. Now put it out of your mind, Abby.
John, I'm waiting for you every night.
Put it out of your mind, Abby. I'm not coming for you anymore.
You're surely sporting with me.
You know me better.
I know how you clenched my back behind your house. You sweated like a stallion whenever I come near. I saw your face when she put me out. And you loved me then. And you do now.
Abby, that's a wild thing to say.
A wild thing may say wild things. I've seen you since you put me out. I have seen you nights.
I've probably stepped on my farm this 7 month.
I have a sense for heat, John. And yours has drawn me to my window. Do you tell me you've never looked up at my window?
Perhaps. I have.
I know you, John. I know you. I cannot sleep for dreaming. I cannot dream, but I wake and I walk about this house as though I find you coming through some door.
Child.
How do you call me child?
I may think of you soft from time to time, Abby, but I'll cut off my hand if I ever reach out for you again. Put it out of your mind. Never touch.
We
did not!
Oh. I marvel how such a strong man may let such a sickly
You speak nothing of Elizabeth!
She is blackening my name in the village. She is telling lies about me. She is a cold, sniveling woman, and you beg
Do you look for women?
I look for John Proctor that put knowledge in my heart. I never knew what pretense Salem was. I never knew all the lying lessons I was taught by all these Christian women and their covenanted men. And now, you bid me tear the light out of my eyes? I will not. I cannot. You loved me, John Proctor. Whatever sin it is, you love me yet. John, pity me.
And may Jehovah shine his light upon us all. Amen.
Ah! Betty? Ah!
What happened? What are you doing here? Betty!
She heard me praying, and suddenly she's up and screaming. The psalm, she could not bear to hear the Lord's name.
No, God forbid.
Mark it for a sign, mark it.
That's a sure sign of witchcraft afoot. Notorious sign.
My mother told me that, but they could not bear to hear the name.
Rebecca, please come to us. We are lost. She cannot bear to hear the Lord's name. There's great sickness here, Giles, so please, keep the quiet.
I've not said a word. No one here can testify I've said a word. Is she going to fly again? I hear she flies.
Then be quiet now.
What have you done? Pray, calm yourselves. I have 11 children, and I'm 26 times a grandma, and I've seen them through all of their silly seasons. And when I come upon them, they will run the devil bow-legged, keeping up with their mischief. I think she will wake when she tires of it. A child's spirit is like a child. You can never catch it by running after it. You must stand still, and for love, innocence will come back.
Hi. That's true, Rebecca.
This is no silly season, Rebecca. My Ruth is bewildered. She cannot eat.
Perhaps she is not hungered yet. Mr. Paris, I hope you are not decided to go in search of blue spirits. I've heard promise of that outside.
There is a popular belief in this congregation that the devil may be among us, and it would suit me to prove this wrong.
Can you come out and call them wrong? Are you a minister? Mr. Hale, did you consult the warners of the church before you called to look for devils?
He's not coming to look for devils!
What's he coming for?
There be children dying in the village,
I
mister.
see them dying.
Pray, John, be calm. Mr. Paris, I think it best you send Reverend Hale back as soon as he come. This will set us all to argument again in the society. We thought to have peace this year. We ought to rely on Dr. Griggs now and go to prayer.
Rebecca, the doctor is baffled.
If so he is, then let us go to God for the cause of it. There's prodigious danger in the search of blue spirits. I fear it. I fear it. Let us rather blame ourselves and...
How may we blame ourselves? I am one of 9 sons, the Putnam seed of people of this province, and yet I have but 1 child left of 8, and now she withers.
I cannot fathom that.
Do you think it's God's work? You never lose a child, nor a grandchild either, and I bury all but 1?
When Reverend Hale comes, you will proceed to look for signs of witchcraft here.
You cannot command Mr. Paris. We move by name in the society, not by acreage.
I never heard you worried so in the society, Mr. Proctor. I do not think I saw you at Sabbath meeting since snow flew.
I trouble not that I come 5 miles to hear him pledge bloody hellfire and damnation. There may not even go to the church anymore because he hardly much as God anymore.
Well, that's a drastic charge.
It is so somewhat true. There are many that quail to bring their children, and
It is not the children I preach for, Rebecca. It is not the children who forget their obligations to this church. Where is my wood? My contract states that I be provided with all my firewood, yet I have not seen a stick since November, and even then I had to show my frostbitten hand like some London beggar.
You are allowed 6 pounds a year to buy your wood, Mr. Paris.
I am paid little enough that I spend £6 on firewood. The salary is £66, Mr. Proctor. I am not some preaching farmer with a book under my arm. I am a graduate of Harvard College.
I am well instructed in mathematics.
Mr. Corey, you would search far and wide to find a man of my stature for such a low price as £60. I am not used to such poverty. I left a thrifty business in the Barbados to serve the word of the Lord. I cannot fathom why I am persecuted so here. I cannot raise one word, but there be a howling riot of argument. I have often wondered if the devil be in it somewhere. I cannot understand you people otherwise.
Mr. Paris, you are the first minister who did demand the deed to this house.
I am your third minister in 7 years. I do not wish to be put out like the common cat when some majority feels the wind. You people do not seem to understand that the minister is the Lord's man in the parish, and not to be so easily crossed and contradicted.
Aye.
There will be obedience, or the church will burn like hell is burning.
You speak one minute without landing in hell again. I'm so sick of hell.
It is not for you to decide, but it's good for you to hear.
I mean, see by heart, I think.
What are we, Quakers? We are not Quakers here yet, Mr. Proctor, and you may tell that to your followers.
My followers.
Aye, there be a faction in this church. I am not blind, there be a faction in the party.
Against you.
Against him in all authority.
And I must find it and join it.
he does not mean that.
I mean it solemnly, Rebecca. I don't like the smell of this authority here. I've cropped a saw lumber to drag home. Say, guys, he says there's a party. Let's find it.
I've changed my opinion of this man. Mr. Paris, I beg your pardon. I never thought you had so much iron in you.
Why, thank you, guys.
It suggests to the mind what the trouble be among us all these years. Wherefore is everybody suing everybody else? I've been 6 times in court this year.
Is it God's fault that you cannot say hello to a man and before he clap you for damnation?
Mr. Putnam, I've only last month collected £4 damages for you publicly saying I burned the roof off your house, and I...
He never said such a thing, but he paid you for it. So we could mark you death of charge. Now will you come, guys? Help me drag my lumber.
I'll be damned first.
A moment, Mr. Proctor. What lumber is that you're dragging home, if I may ask you?
My lumber, from the forest riverside.
Why, we are surely gone wild this year. What anarchy is this? That land is in my bounds, Mr. Proctor. It's in my bounds!
Your bounds! I bought these bounds from Radius' husband 5 months ago.
He had no right to sell it. It stands clear in my grandfather's will that all the land between the river and the northern pasture belongs to me.
Your grandfather had habit of willing things didn't belong to him, from me, say plain.
That's God's truth. He nearly willed away my north pasture, but he knew I'd break his fingers before he could set his name to it. Let's get your lumber home, John. I feel some will to work coming on.
You load one oak of mine and you'll fight to drag it home.
I and we'll win too, Putnam! This fool and I! Come on!
I'll have my men on you, Corey. I'll clap a writ on you!
Granny, someone take these.
Ah, Reverend Taylor, it's good to see you. My, those are heavy.
They must be there, weighted with authority.
Well, you do come prepared.
We shall need hard study if it comes to tracking down the old boy. You cannot be Rebecca Nurse.
I am, sir. Do you know me?
It's strange how I knew you, but I suppose you look as a good soul should. We've all heard of your great charities in Beverly.
Do you know this man? Thomas Putnam and his good wife, Anne.
Putnam, I'd not expected to be in such distinguished company, sir.
Does not seem to help us today, Mr. Hill. We wish you would come to our home and save our child.
Your child ails too.
Her soul seems flown away. She sleeps and yet she walks.
She cannot eat.
Cannot eat? Do you men also have afflicted children?
No, these are poor farmers. John Proctor.
He don't believe in witches.
I never spoke on one which is away another does. Now will you come?
No, John, I think not. I have a few queer questions of my own to ask this fellow.
For you to be a wise man, Mr. Hill. I do hope you left something to say.
Will you look at my child, sir? We discovered her on the highway this morning, waving her arms as though she'd fly.
Tries to fly?
It's a sure sign of witchcraft, Mr. Hill. A notorious sign.
No. Now, let me instruct you. The devil is precise. The marks of his presence are clear as stone, and we must look only for his proper signs and judge nothing beforehand. And I must tell you all that I am not prepared to continue unless you should believe me if I find no trace of hell in this.
It is agreed. We will go by your judgment.
Good then. What were your first wording of this strangeness?
Why, I discovered her. and my niece Abigail and a few of the other girls in the village dancing in the forest.
You permit dancing?
No, it was secret.
Mr. Paris Sleeve has knowledge of conjuring, sir.
Goody Ann, you do not know that for certain.
I know it, sir. I sent my child. She should learn from Tituba, who murdered her sisters.
Goody Ann, you sent a child to conjure up the dead?
Let God blame me, not you, Rebecca. I will not have you judging me anymore. Mr. Hale, is it a natural work to lose 7 children before they live a day?
Hush!
7 dead in child's birth?
Aye.
What book is that?
What's there, sir?
Here is all the unnatural world, caught to find and calculated. In these books, the devil stands stripped of all of his brute disguises. Here are your familiar spirits, your incubi and your succubi, your witches that go by land, by air, and by sea, your wizards of the night and day. Have no fear now. We shall find him if he has come among us, and I mean to crush him utterly if he has shown his face.
Will it hurt the child, sir?
I cannot tell. If she is truly in the devil's grip, we may have to rip and tear to get her free.
I think I'll go then. I'm too old for this.
Why, Rebecca, we may open up the boil of our troubles today.
Let us hope for that. I go to God for you, sir.
I surely hope you do not mean we go to Satan here.
I wish I knew.
Come, Mr. Hale, let's get on. Sit you here.
Mr. Hale, I've always wanted to ask a learned man, what signifies the reading of strange books?
What books?
I cannot tell. She hides them.
Who does this?
Martha, my wife. I've waited at night many times and found her in a corner, reading of a book. Now, what do you make of that?
Why, that's not necessarily.
It discomfits me. Why, last night, mark this, I tried and could not say my prayers. And then she closed her book and walks out of the house, and suddenly, mark this, I could pray again.
The stoppage of prayer, that is strange. I should like to speak with you on that later.
Now, I'm not saying she's touched the devil, but I'd admire to know what books she reads and why she hides them. She'll not answer me, you see.
I will discuss it. Now, hear me. If the devil is in her, you will witness some frightful wonders in this room, so please keep your wits about you. Mr. Putnam, stand close in case she flies. Now, Bessie dear, will you sit up? Can you hear me, Betty? I'm John Hale, minister of Beverly. I've come to help you, dear. Do you remember my 2 little girls in Beverly?
How could it be the devil?